Hello and welcome to Wolfman Gaming. This is my The Last of Us Remastered Grounded difficulty walkthrough. Today we are taking on Chapter 4, also known as Pittsburgh. I've divided this chapter into two videos as well, just as Billstown, because it's a very long chapter and it's easier to narrate shorter videos, more fun to watch, and it's easier for me to upload. And this first fight is at the beginning of the chapter. You have just driven your car into an ambush, and it consists of two waves of enemies. First you face off against 3 enemies, and the second wave consists of 4. And the thing to remember here, there are no mid-battle checkpoints on this difficulty, as I mentioned before. So sadly, if you die at the very last guy, you're gonna have to restart at the beginning of this fight. But if you take it slow, adapt and react to situations, always keep track of your surroundings, you should make it through this without too much problems. Sad part is there is no consistent strategy for this fight. The best tips I can give you is try to use your bow as much as you can. So I take down the first wave and start the second one, because it's deadly, it's silent and very effective. And hopefully your arrows won't break so you can use it again. So I want to take this time to talk a bit about chapter 4. It's a very long chapter, as I said, and I think that it outstays its welcome to some extent, because I've never been a big fan of this chapter. I think it's too long, and after Billstown with its green forest and all that, you get stuck in this skyscraper mess for about an hour and a half or 2 hours. So I think they could have shortened it a bit. And also, a lot of the fights in this chapter are close quarter combat, which is basically all the fights in this game, but somehow it feels a bit more claustrophobic on this chapter. As I wait behind this window for someone to come up. And I think we're coming up against the last guy, as I miss point blank range, and I managed to miss with a shotgun. But I redeem myself by punching him in the throat, which is even more brutal than shotgun blast to the face.
Alright.
Yep, when Joel says that, you're safe.
You okay?
So afterwards, run around, look for everything, and move on. This is a little bit later. You come to this open area. Love those open areas with their foliage and sunlight. There are 3 enemies spawning in, jumping down from that bus. Just move over to this right side and wait behind this car, and we can sneak past them. In this episode I'm gonna sneak through most of the combat, I think. I'm gonna show you some great strategies to get through the hotel and bypass some very grueling fights if you try to take them head on. Which you should never do if you have the option on this difficulty, because you will probably end up on the ass end of the ass kicking. So as soon as he progresses forward a little bit, just sneak past him. I think I mentioned this before, when it comes to the normal human enemies, you can sneak at full speed, they will not hear you, unlike the infected. But just move on, up on this car, up on the bus, jump down on the other side, and you'll be just fine. So the next fight, coming up in a second, is right past this.
Whoa.
You can see we're still in those gated areas, and if you run for a little bit and then jump down, because the enemies are talking and they are in their starting position still, which we are gonna use to our advantage. So sneak in through the door, grab some good stuff in there, and just keep on as I clip on Ellie for a second. The key here is to be aggressive and to be fast. You hear that little gush of wind that says that someone noticed me a bit, but don't be worried. They are still just hanging around, being passive, and as soon as I get up this set of stairs, I'm gonna throw a bottle. No, I'm gonna throw a brick and try to get their attention what I wanted, and this doesn't go perfectly because I start sneaking, but my positioning was a bit off. He notices me and I think to myself, fuck it, and just run. So jump out the window, and Joel apparently gets scared of heights, but we get down and we're out of there. So that was easy, wasn't it? And I think my placement of the brick was a little bit off. That's why it didn't go perfectly. And this is the hotel. You start off here and make a right. And just sneak into this next room. This is a really great way of getting through it, because we're gonna take out 2 of maybe 20 or 30 guys, and none of the others will ever know we were here. So grab a steel pipe, always good to have, and we start progressing through the hotel. We see a guy coming in from the left, heading towards the right, and we don't want to disturb him. We let him go on his jolly way and sneak on. So after this corner, hang a right and head up the stairs, as I do right about now. Be a bit careful when you come into this staircase, because you see there's a guy patrolling up there, so wait for 2 seconds so he can get up the second staircase and take his last breaths before we take him out. Awesome stuff. And here I make a little mistake, because I didn't quite remember the pattern. What you're supposed to do is follow that guy. I go the scenic route. I think I was going for a soda, maybe. It's a bit dry, a little thirsty, want a soda, but I recovered and moved on down this corridor. And here comes my second mistake, very soon. Don't be worried when this is 100% consistent. Just so you know, if you copy this, you will have no problem at all. You'll see the same things I do. And here you head a left, not a right like I do, and almost get spotted. Because I forgot the pattern and I realized, whoops, there's a guy. And I was really nervous coming up on this side, because Ellie stands over there. And I thought she was a hunter at first. So I was like, why is he just standing there? Isn't he gonna move? Am I gonna have to redo this? But poor eyesight, what can I say? And open this elevator and move on to the next fight, where things actually start getting hard. Not saying that they haven't been so far, but this can be a bitch at times. We're down in the cellar. The elevator broke and we fell down here. I heal up because I was at very low health and hadn't healed in a very long time. If you're at pretty good health down here, you don't have to heal up. But I do it just as a precaution, and you can do that as well if you want to. There are 2 ways to trigger the first fight. You can do it as I do by picking up this key card. and you're gonna be facing off against, I think it's 3 or 4 stalkers, as they are called. And stalkers are, to me, the absolutely worst enemy in this game. Because stalkers are the second stage of infection. First they become runners, then they become stalkers, then they become clickers, and then they become bloaters. And the thing about... See how lucky I was I healed up? The thing about stalkers is that they will not attack you when you're watching them, most often. They will try to wait until you have your back turned towards them, or at least the camera panned away from them. So this can be a waiting game, because taking down 3, I think, and there's 1 left. And I died here so many times, because as you can see, I'm standing in a very small room. You can try to move out of it, but I prefer to stay in this room and keep my back against the wall and bottleneck them in the door. Come on, Stocky boy. I can try and lure him or her out by moving into a corner, or as I do, seemingly just waggle back and forth. There he is. Or she is. Anyway, that's the last one. And I make another med kit and heal up, because we're gonna do a really tough thing. We're gonna... what's it called? Anyway, we're gonna run away from a lot of enemies. And now I almost make a mistake. Learn from this. Good. Luckily for me, I figured it out before I did it. Because we're gonna start that generator, but we're gonna do something else first. And this also shows you the second way of triggering that fight. Remember this path, because we're gonna... if you try to open this door, as you see me doing now, that can also trigger those 4 stalkers. But always check the door before starting the generator, because if you don't, Joel will try to open it, as I did, when you're in a big shitstorm. So as soon as you start the generator, start running. And keep a brick in hand, because you're gonna face off a lot of enemies now. And I clip on the walkway. Start running for this corridor, make a left. Don't cut the corner too hard, because there's a bloater coming through that hallway. And this is quite funny. Watch what happens when I walk through the door. You see the animation, spore bomb, and I die. But luckily, this is not edited. I kept that in because the game spawned me in after I opened the door. Which is great, because I was stuck there for quite a long time. And remember, always check the door before you turn on the generator. And how the enemies spawn in when you run for your life is a little bit random, but hopefully you'll get a good pattern. And be careful when you turn that last corner, because there is a blower there and you don't want to run straight into his arms. And this is quite soon after you go into this kitchen, and we're gonna do the sneaky game again, as I apparently downloaded Dishonored Definitive Edition, because I forgot to turn off my notifications on my PS4. So that is a bit of hint of what's to come, because I'm planning to make an walkthrough for that game later. But coming back to this game that we're on right now, you sneak up behind this guy and choke him out. And this entire fight can be stealthed. It's quite easy if you follow this pattern, because it's basic. You try to choke them out where the others can't see them, and everyone will follow their set little patrol patterns. And you shouldn't have a problem at all. So we wait for the third guy. I think it's the third guy. And here is where I foul up a little bit, because I choke him up, I turn my camera around. Anyway, I realize quite soon, or maybe I don't. Yeah, I didn't conceal his body and his friend saw it. And here I was at the mercy of the game, because he could have gone my way and I would have ended up fighting him, but instead he moves on the other way. So he chose poorly, as they said in Indiana Jones. So we're coming up almost halfway through the chapter, and I have to say this was the easy part, because some of the fights coming up can be very hard, but never fear, you will make it. I will help you and we will get through it together. So you take up this ladder and head up, place against the wall and start climbing up, and we get into a scripted fight as we get our gun to work reimagined by this guy, and here comes a good old quick time event where we just mash the square button and you'll make it out of this. It's one of those scripted sequences to show that Ellie can come to your rescue, and she kills her first non-infected enemy. And that's the end of the episode, and I want to thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. So until next time, this is the Wolfman signing off.